right, over here at the left-hand side of the map is our Zerg player. This might be his last chance to try and come back in this group.
Bumblebee Prime.
Bumblebee Prime. And you know what? He's had basically his 2 games thus far have been sloppy all-ins, basically. And let's hope we see something a little bit different from him this game. But here's his opponent, who also isn't doing the best so far today.
Maru Prime.
Maru also not winning his games.
Yeah. And looking a little bit weaker today than his usual, to be perfectly honest. He's going for his first barracks on the high ground of his expansion. Will he 2 racks? It's not yet seen. May just be a 1 barracks expand.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Actually, he's taking gas now, so...
Huh. It's an interesting spot. I guess he wants to make his wall on the low ground so he can protect that expansion and still have a wall going on. That SCV gets so close to death. The drone wants it. He's not going to get it.
No. We saw the harassment last game. Thought he would continue with it.
Yeah. But yeah, gas first here. Or not first.
Well, not, yeah, just
not first. I'm
normal
sorry.
gas.
Early gas instead of just going for 2nd racks or 1 racks into a command center, which is very common.
It's weird because normally you have the wall off with the reactor Hellions, but in this case, if he wants to do that, he's going to have his Hellions probably a little bit faster because they're going to be part of this wall. But it means his production facilities are going to be kind of in a weird place. You can use that as a wall later, but this does get a little bit weird sometimes. Normally you don't see this, but every now and then it does occur where the Hellions are just a little bit further forward. Back at home for Bumblebee, he is taking his gas. His pool is halfway done. This hatchery is nearly complete, and this SCV is going to come and scout what he can. Being harassed by drones right now because he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know if there is 2 racks of any kind. He saw the gas, so he can expect not, but he doesn't want any bunkering to go on.
And those drones are actually keeping him from scouting at all. I mean, he's going to get in here and at least see the hatchery eventually, but... And there's a Marine that's going to back up that SCV.
Oh, he's actually going to bunker here.
Oh, this is
He's just going to force some more drones off the line,
yep.
I believe.
I think he could have squeezed that Marine behind that bunker, actually, if he'd wanted to.
There is a second Marine coming here. The Zerlings are on the way, though. And he will hide behind the area here.
Oh, that's cute, but it's not going to be enough.
Not going to be enough. The SCV goes down.
And so he's going to be forced to cancel that bunker, but very cute. I like the little pressure there by Maru.
A lot of confidence in his build by Bumblebee. He knew the Zerlings would pop out just in time. He didn't pull any extra drones off. He was completely confident in the 4 Zerlings he would have made either way without seeing the bunker. See that in the gas, there's only 1 mining drone, so he's not going to be following this up with any sort of aggression. Just wants to get as many drones and queens out as he can right now with that additional mineral income. And the first 2 Hellions are out. As you can see, Maru is just going to make his command center. He's already got somewhat of a wall set up. So
yeah, I like that.
To do this on this map is it makes sense. It's just not as common yet as it could be necessarily.
Yeah, and he's building his depots at his ramp as well, so he still has a secondary wall that we talked about yesterday where he can fall back to that high ground if he needs to. And these Hellions are going to squeeze past the Queens and the Spine Crawler are going to get into the main, and this is mostly important for scouting, but he might get some drones as well.
He very well may.
Gets 1 drone.
Could have gotten a lot more. That was scary.
Yeah, that was very close with all those drones lined up.
He's not done yet, though. He's going to continue to run around the Queens.
But the spawning pool is in a perfect tactical position. It's going to stop those Hellions from running around behind the mineral line. It's a really cool thing to do that we don't see players do enough, actually. Putting their buildings in tactical locations like that. So nicely done by Maru to get a scout in there, but Bumblebee shut it down.
He absolutely needed to know whether the gas was mine because he was denied earlier.
And wow, look at this. The Zergling's going to just get all the way up here in order to see 1 more barracks. Doesn't get into the main, though, because of that secondary depot wall.
Yep. And we'll eventually go down now. Sees everything he needs to see, though, because the structures are on the outside. Even the starport is being made on the outside with the reactor. Adding double barracks in the main, that's one thing he was not able to see, but he can expect that. If he's doing anything else, it's very uncommon. I mean, it's possible he's making factories there and meching, but since the starport's being built in the reactor, it's like, no, of course he's not doing that.
He did get to see one of the barracks, so he knows that at least one more barracks has been added.
Yep. There's no reason to believe that with a starport on a reactor that he's meching in the main base.
That's really true.
This is doing some sort of crazy like Thor push with, or Thor or tank push where he uses the Automaton 2000 drop micro. He's picking up the tanks and dropping them down. It's like too hard to execute. Nobody can do that. Or he's like making Vikings, reactor Vikings out of that starport.
That's right. He's making reactor Vikings.
So Baneling Nest is finishing up here. Carapace is on the way. Macro Hatch going down as well as a third for Bumblebee. Playing things very safely right now. Even getting another Zergling run by in here. Scout his opponent's composition. Being very thorough with his scouting right now. Group of Hellions going to come down and scout the third base. May even clean up some creep. Going to go for the creep now. Doing a great job denying that creep. It's so important to have these connecting, especially when dropships are out. His lair is just now starting, so he's not going to have mutas for a long time, so dropships are going to be quite potent. Speaking of drops, there are 2 loaded up right now. He's actually going to send down to the bottom right. And without that creep between the bases, it's so difficult to get units across, especially queens to help defend the drops. If you don't have queens or mutas, you can't kill the drops, so you can just keep lifting up. You can run away forever. There are a decent amount of banelings out now, though. In fact, in total, there are 5 banelings out. That's plenty enough to clean up the drop. When the banelings are spotted, he's going to at the very least have to pick up. He's going to do an elevator tactic here rather than going for the third.
Yeah.
Not sure if I prefer this, but it can be quite good. If he targets the banelings, it'll be great.
Yeah, it needs to be very, very, very careful. The Queen's trying to attack the Medivacs. He's waiting for him to get away from those Hellions, but he's being a little bit too cautious here. Now the baneling's coming in, and Maru's just playing this very well, though. As long as he targets the
gets
Banes
another
down.
one. And oh, that was not the best.
Nope.
But he's still holding strong here with his units. His combat shields are done now. And he can continue this if he wants to. He's actually going to go for the third base now, which I feel may have been the better choice in the beginning. Spines are getting caught over here, and a few more tumors going down. Things looking really good for Maru with this little push. These spines completely caught off guard. Not even lifting or lowering one of them. Oh my god. Bumblebee not looking good right now. Maru forced to back up into another spine, but his banelings do not hit. Nice, loads his units into the fully health medevac, and his pressure is not over yet.
Yeah, but it hasn't really accomplished a ton yet. I mean, he did kill a lot of banelings, but hasn't done any major damage thus far. But this is getting really risky for him. He's got those medevacs there he can lift up into. The Queen is almost dead, so it's going to be harder for him to pick off those medevacs.
Man, things are getting out of control with this push.
Now he's starting to do some major damage. I think you're right. This is starting to get out of control indeed. Now he's going to get into the mineral line here. Start taking out drones.
Yep, taking out quite a few of them. You will end up losing these units eventually, but wow, so many units killed there. Only 9 workers killed in total. The worker count now is 60 to 43 in Bumblebee's favor. Maru not, by the looks of things, hitting all of his SCVs during this micro. And he's actually going to rescue that one Marine from earlier. Wow, check that out.
Right out of the arms
I
of
get
the
emotional again. I'm like, this is what I really like to see in StarCraft. Not only what I was mentioning earlier, but the care that Maru has for his units.
That was like...
my god, he used those units to kill a tumor that got made. Wow. I don't know if you guys saw it on screen. No, I don't think so, but Infestors are on the way, by the way, as well as Hive and Aspire, plus 2 Carapace.
And a ton of Marines in the back of Bumblebee's base. Going to take out a few drones. Good reaction time by Bumblebee to pull his drones away, but he might not actually be able to save this hatchery in his main. Luckily, he put his lair at the natural.
Oh, an Infestor pops out.
Oh, did it have... No, the pathogen glands were not done yet.
Oh, just a few seconds off there. That was a close call. Maru doing a great amount of damage, and I love this pressure by him. He's just microing everything so well, and he seems to be keeping up with his macro decently at home as well. 3/4 done is the Hive, and the Spire approaching 3/4 as well. Plus 2 Carapace finishing up as +1 melee weapons finishes. So the upgrades right now for Zerg are 2-1, whereas Maru is just now starting +2. He's got 1-1 right now. So Bumblebee ahead in upgrades.
Nice. That is going to be very, very good.
He just doesn't have
Going
the
with this
perfect...
mass Ling style.
He needs to get good fungals here. He's so reliant upon that because even with better upgrades on Zerglings, his opponent's composition is just better unless he gets fungals off.
And needs to be very careful. Doesn't want to lose those Banelings. Doesn't want to lose a ton of Zerglings to Siege Tank Fire. The rocks are being pounded down in the back by a lot of Marines here. He doesn't have a ton of Marines here, though, so
we have a
he is vulnerable.
On the way.
Oh, nice.
He's trying to get those Broodlords out. Does he have the gas to support that, though? I don't think so.
He really wants those Spine Crawlers.
He should. He should be going for these. I really like this choice.
What was that?
Trying to tank some Siege
Oh,
Tank
there
Fire.
he
I
goes.
love it. But
that's what it was.
even with the Marine split here, I think Bumblebee has too much. He's going to break out for sure, and Maru cannot even really retreat. The Zergling count way too high. There's 74 Zerglings on the map.
I mean, Maru, I was looking at it, he just didn't have a lot of units. He didn't have a lot of Marines to back up those tanks, and, well, didn't have a lot of tanks to back up his Marines either, to be completely honest. Bumblebee now with a 30 supply lead, looks to be in a commanding position. The Greater Spire is about to complete. 5 Corruptors are on the way. He still has a couple Infestors, still has a lot of Lings on the map, and he can kind of do what he wants here. He can either take a third, or he could press the issue and go for an attack.
You know what's so interesting to me right now is so many Zerg players are going for this upgrade style and getting fast Hive and not getting a General Plan. So this is actually a problem that occurs often. Hold that thought. We're going to have an almost tragedy with Marines. And I really feel that part of the reason why people are not getting it is it costs so much. They want to use that on Infestors and other upgrades. But the other reason I think is because, simply put, the Zerglings are for position only. They're not really supposed to be the damage dealers. They're supposed to just trap Marines, make sure they can't retreat, while the Infestors, the Banelings, do the real damage. Of course, they do damage themselves. They can kill tanks and things like that. But the Adrenal upgrade is just not one that people are getting. And it's just so strange to me that people are not doing it at all. And I'm trying to figure it out. But
I think, I mean, if you're going to have that many Zerglings, I think it's still going to be a cost-effective upgrade, personally. But I don't know. I have heard in the past, and it's been a while, and the patches have gone through, but I've heard some players tell me, oh no, it's not worth it, it's not worth it at all.
Well, I know it's not worth it when you're trying to get Broodlords out right now. Like, he's trying to get all these upgrades out. He just can't afford 200 gas. It takes so long to get out anyways. He needs these Broodlords now. Speaking of Broodlords, here they are. And Maru's going to try to, he's going to try to push this. I don't know about this.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't like it.
He doesn't have any Vikings. He's just starting production of them now. And yeah, there's no way he's going to be, because as soon as he moves those Marines forward out in front of the tanks, the Infestors fungal them, and it's just going to be...
Yeah, he doesn't have to control this area of the map right now.
The only way this is really good for Maru, actually, is because he's starting this at Bumblebee's base, and now he has a lot of room to fall back. And so there's that advantage, and Bumblebee doesn't have a lot of creep, so it's going to be hard for him to really push forward with those Broodlords right now. And in fact, it looks like Bumblebee's just going to take a fourth, try and take the middle of the map. Oh! Some Zerglings there. But yeah, I mean, it's all about moving forward those Broodlords slowly and then protecting them with the Infestors underneath. Here comes some Vikings, though. Corruptors are in play as well. Is he going to get a fungal? Nope. But Zerglings and Banelings running in. Not really doing a ton of damage, but are the Siege Tanks going to go down? Yes! All the tanks go down.
Marine count, though, remains at 46. He's got a pretty big group of them. Fungals go down on some of the Vikings, but the Marines are splitting around here. The Broodlords no longer have very much support.
No, they have no support at all. The Marines are stibbing in now. Without any Fungals left, they are going to get slaughtered by these Marines. And he even had a fungal there. He just didn't use it until the very end.
There's just too many units here. Look at how quickly the supply is dropping for Bumblebee. The medevacs, each Marine practically has a personal medevac at this point.
And there's some Zerglings on the side there. He really needs to run those by. His only hope right now is to try and turn Maru's army around while he warps some more Broodlords and Banelings. Going for the Banelings instead. Zerglings just running out to the slaughter.
Maru may be overextending himself here. I feel like he needs to try to do this. He's running out of time with his opponent's tech advantage he has. The Zergling run by does occur exactly like you said.
That's what he needs to do right now. But right now, Bumblebee is again playing a little bit sloppy, letting a lot of his units die in random places to Marines where he could have run them away.
He loses his hatchery. He does have another base at the bottom right. There's no drones there, though, and the drones he tried to send to transfer, every time he tries to transfer them, he just can't because Maru's on his throat, and you just cannot get them out of there. If your Broodlords get spotted by a scan, he's going to try to run in. I don't like this. He's sending way too few Marines in. I'm sorry, man, but if you have an equal number of Marines to Broodlords, that's just not going to work.
No, it's not. Now, the key here, though, is that he doesn't have any infestors anymore, so it is going to be possible for those Marines to stim in, theoretically. Of course, the Banelings will stop him from that as well, but it's going to be a little bit easier for him to try and access.
Maru does not have a strong enough hold here. He needs to get out. He does get out. GG.
And Bumblebee leaves the game.
I did not expect that.
Wow.
He just didn't have the resources to continue this, and I think that may have been a little bit too premature. In fact, the score screen indicates that Bumblebee was ahead. The score screen is not always truthful. He just couldn't get his drones out, so the base at the bottom right was not being used. He didn't have enough income, and Maru was in a position where he had to pull back, but Bumblebee, I think, he wanted to save face or something. I'm not 100% sure about that pull out there.
That was, I don't know. I mean, that might have been a frustration leave. He's 0-2 at that point. He's trying to pull off the strategy, and it's not working.
Yeah, it was a little bit unusual, but that puts him now, of course, at 0-3, and Maru is at 2-1 now, so he is tied with the STC. Alicia, of course, remains 3-0 in the group, and this group is interesting.
It's turning out to be pretty close here because we have two players, if I'm not mistaken, that are at 2-1, right?
Yeah.
And Alicia's, of course, 3-0. And so it's actually going to get pretty close here. We may end up with a situation where we have, SC and Bumblebee losing all their games, and then a very close situation between between three of the others.
You know what's funny is it seems like almost every time we have an up and down group, one player just has this lead. Like, one player always goes 3-0 or 2-0 at the very least, if we have a smaller group. And today, Alicia is that guy. It just tends to happen. Yesterday we had Linok, and the day before that we had Squirtle. So that just tends to be the case. And I didn't even have to tell you guys the old up and down matches we've had months and months ago. Similar things have happened. So it's kind of weird to see that pattern occur. But our next map is going to be Entombed Valley. It's going to be JYP against the STC. And these two guys are currently tied at 2-1, I believe. Yeah. So this is a really important match for both of them. One of them will pull ahead. And also consider every match becomes more and more important because in a tiebreak situation, if the scores are exactly the same and there's two players tied, then the person who beat the other one just gets the win. So,
exactly.
If you lose against someone who may potentially tie with you later, that's too bad, man.
Yeah, it may end up in a situation where, having a win against JYP, but a loss to Bumblebee, as opposed to a win against Bumblebee and a loss to JYP could make the difference. Despite having the score, he made up time because they're so close right now anyway.
Yep, so every win is so important regardless of the order.
Yeah. And the STC, again, is going to have his chance here. Remember, we're talking about how dominant he usually is versus Protoss players. He's lost one of his games versus a Protoss. Now he's going to have one more chance to show his strong suit. Will he have an ace up his sleeve for JYP? We're going to find out right now at the GSL up and down matches with Moltrap and Wolf.